Yeah. Let's go.
It's stadium seats, so what does that mean? That mean it's Frizz, Gemz, and Tay, and we hot in the scene. Every platform possible, you know it's the team. To emails, the airways, down we counting the streams, it's love. To all the sports fans that's rocking the building. And when we turn, please admit that you're craving the feeling. Frizz and Gemz, please believe. You know how we rock, right? Tay with the red bottoms, now she's taking the spotlight. Frizz, let's make sure we get that #1 spot tight. Cause when we rock right, we do tours, take top flights, the tailgate crazy. The fans, they amaze me. Salute to all the fans that been rocking with us lately. Love.
Yeah.
Stadium seats.
And now, introducing your Stadium Seats podcast crew from Pittsburgh, PA. Stand up, Frizz Nation, Frizz! Also hailing from Pittsburgh, PA, that dude with the smooth groove, Gemz! Finally, the red bottom queen from Brownsville, Texas, Tay! Stadium Seats. Yeah, Gemz, we're in the house. This is Frizz.
Yeah.
Stadium Seats. We're back again. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. Yeah.
We're starting off 2020 with a bang.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got a lot of interesting sports topics to talk about.
Yeah. How was your New Year's?
New Year's was great, man. At this age, you kind of
Slow it down.
I don't really do the going out thing anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kind of just kicking it home and watch the ball drop on TV.
yeah. Watching the ball drop is always fun. So
Yeah,
I was excited
definitely,
about
man.
that.
How about yours? How's yours go?
Same. Just relax. Yeah, relax. Enjoy the night. Watch the ball drop.
I had a couple cocktails, and
Yeah, had a couple waters. I'm good.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. You're starting out 220, not even with any beverages, I see.
Yeah, it's we'll see.
No doubt. Yeah, see how the week goes.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, guys, we are up over 1,000 followers on Twitter, so shout out to that. Or you can find us on Twitter at Seats Stadium. Okay, that's our Twitter, and you can email us at stadiumseatspodcast@gmail.com. We're missing Tay tonight, okay, obviously. So it's just me and Gemz on the show, but we always keep it rocking here on Stadium Seats if nobody can go.
Yeah.
So it's all good. Tay had some other things to attend to, but she'll be back this week. It's all good.
I missed the show last week.
Yeah, so, man, the flu bug has hit our crew pretty tough.
Oh, it gets you. It gets you.
It'll creep up on you and knock you down, but we're here and we're back and we're ready. So let's run down real quick for the listeners kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about which quarterback are we most fascinated to watch this weekend with Wild Card Weekend coming up in the NFL. Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about the pass interference rule, if that really had an impact on you as a fan, Gemz.
Okay.
What type of coach do the Cleveland Browns need to bring in? And we're going to kind of have some fun with this one. Which team would you like to see or hope to turn their franchise around maybe in 2020? Obviously, these are teams probably that didn't make the playoffs. And then the Wild Card Weekend, we're going to break down each game tonight and what team we got and why, basically. Cool. So we do got one email to address. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
Stadium Seats Podcast at gmail.com email segment. Let's go. All right. Gemz, this comes to us from BC up in Wisconsin. Shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out. Okay.
getting some love up there in the Madison area. We like it. He says, this question is a wild card weekend question. Who wins, Tennessee versus New England? He said, I personally like Tennessee with the upset for a couple reasons. They got a horse in the backfield in Henry, and Tannehill has been hot lately. And the coach, Vrabel, knows the New England way. Gemz, why don't you address this first?
Yeah, I'll address it first. So, number one, I disagree. I'm going to go with New England. Here's the reason why. Number one is that last year, Tennessee beat New England. So I think, New England is still sore about that loss last year. That's number one. Number two, the last couple games for the New England Patriots has been disastrous, right? They offensively, they're no-shows. And their defense, believe it or not, been struggling as well. The last game against Miami, Gilmore got, toasted. And that's very rare to see, especially coming from Gilmore and what he brings to the New England defense. So, again, it's in Boston, number one. Number two, I don't think the NFL is going to let that happen anyway, because the big moneymaker is going to be New England going up to Kansas City again for the second year in a row. So it's just a little conspiracy thing with me when it comes to that. But as I conclude on this, I just think that, New England, they've been playing such bad football the last couple of weeks. I think they got one good game in them, and I think Tennessee traveling up to Boston and due to just all the factors in the past that them losing to Tennessee last year, it's payback time, and it's a revenge. It would be a revenge tour, and I think that's the mind frame that the New England Patriots have. Like, just think about it, Frizz. If they beat Tennessee, then that's payback from last year. Then they go to Kansas City the week after, and Kansas City beat them in Boston this year. Then they go to Baltimore, and Baltimore beat them this year. So don't count the New England Patriots out. I just think that they got a couple good games in them, and I don't think Tannehill could outsmart or outplay the Belichick defense.
You know what, man? That's a great point. But BC, I see what you're saying. And yeah, Derrick Henry, he's the Russian king this year. He had over 1,500 yards on the ground. He's a big body. He's a beast. No defense likes to tackle that guy. He kind of turned it on. Tannehill got the hot hand, but I hate to say it, and I kind of agree with you, Gemz, that I just can't count out Brady in Foxborough.
No, not in Foxborough.
I can't do it. I mean, I think it's going to be a close game. The spread's -5. I do think it'll be a 7-point ball game, either or. But, man, I'm kind of leaning towards New England, though I hate to say it, because I want to see somebody new. You know what I mean? I'm just tired of, the New England dynasty, and hopefully start to 2020 without New England going to the Super Bowl. But I can't count them out just because they're playing at home, and that's the only reason. I do think it'll be a close game. I think the only chance is wearing them down with Henry, okay? And on the outside, A.J. Brown, maybe he can get loose a little bit because the kid's good. He's a good rookie. He has over 1,000 yards in the air or receiving. So I definitely –
knowing Belichick, though, they're going to stack the box, and he has good cornerbacks, so he's going to rely on that. That's what I'm thinking.
Out there, and, I definitely think so. But BC, I appreciate the question.
Shout
you
out,
are a
BC.
true stadium seat citizen here on Stadium Seats. Man, I hate New England, Gemz. You know that.
It's all good. Relax. Take a deep breath. Relax.
All right, Gemz, let's dig in to a little bit of our first topic here. Okay. Which quarterback are we, me and you, most interested to see this weekend in Wild Card Weekend? You go first.
You know what? I'm going to say Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
I want to say it. I think that's going to be a great game. They're playing the New Orleans Saints is down there in New Orleans. It's going to be a tough game to beat Drew Brees at home with that home crowd. It's always going to be tough there. But I think that it's not going to be a blowout. I think Minnesota has a chance. I don't know about the health status on the running back. I heard he may go, but we're not sure about that. But my concern, well, not a concern, but what I'm very intrigued about is seeing how Kirk Cousins responds to this game here, because he's going to be coming to the end of his contract again. Because
Right.
Kirk Cousins played the system very, very well, with the
Hmm.
franchise tag for so many years. And then, Minnesota signs him. So it's coming at the end of his contract here. So can he win the big game? This is something that's always been a part of his MO, his reputation. Can he win the big game? Can he give him over the hump? And that's just a quarterback that I want to see in these playoffs here. The
No
NFC
doubt.
is tough. This is a huge game going against Drew Brees. He's in his contract years about to end. This would be a great win for Kirk Cousins.
You know what? I can agree with you there. I mean, I like Kirk Cousins. He could sling it. My QB that I'm looking at that I'm interested to see is Carson Wentz from Philly.
Oh,
Okay, we know he's going up against Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, but they're playing at home. I just want to see how this guy responds to, being in his basically first ever playoff game.
right, right.
Um,
Haven't
he's
been
kind
there.
of had a quiet year in a way. I mean, he threw over for 4,000 yards. He
Mm-hmm.
has 27 TDs, 7 picks. But I want to see how he is going to deal with the adversity a little bit here in this playoff game, because Seattle's coming for him.
They're coming.
They're
They're,
going to
de-
come.
mm-hmm. They're
Because
coming.
watching that Sunday night game with San Fran and Seattle, that was just playoff atmosphere all the way. And
I loved it.
man, it was bad. It was awesome. And I'll tell you what, I just want to see how he's going to distribute the ball, and if he's going to even be able to move the ball for the Eagles. And it's interesting to see if he's going to pan out and being that guy for him.
Well,
You
I
know what
tell
I'm
you,
saying?
yeah, I agree with you. And I tell you what, the only downfall, the only chance that I think the Philadelphia Eagles has is that Seattle is coming to them, right?
Yeah.
So they got to travel across the country. But besides that, Philadelphia's their offense is decimated, right? Like
Yeah, it is. I mean,
who does he have to throw to? So I agree with you on that point.
yeah, it's kind of just something I want to see. And my honorable mention would be I want to see how Allen does for Buffalo going to Houston. I mean,
Yeah,
rookie
absolutely.
QB going there. So
Yep.
definitely that's our take on that, man. So let's talk about the dreaded pass interference rule.
Yeah.
Like, does it really have an impact? Does, does it
I'm upset about
change?
this. I'm upset
Does
about
it
this.
does it change games? Does it make teams lose? Does it make teams win?
It
You
does
know,
change games. It does change games. And I'll give you a prime time example. You just brought up the game Seattle versus
yeah.
San Francisco. Okay. Russell Wilson had 3 tries to get the ball in the end zone. Okay. And
Hmm.
I believe it was like second and goal. And
The
then
holding,
the
the
holding
slash.
against the tight end, right?
Yeah,
And and,
man.
and, and normally what happened to the New Orleans Saints last year, right? You
Yeah,
would think these refs would huddle up and say, we got to get this right. Like, we just have to get this right, because if they call that pass interference, then that's a reset of downs. And, Russell Wilson, he's a Hall of Famer. He's going to get them to score. They're going to score. So it's like, it's kind of unfortunate that the referees did not go back to the replay and get that call right. It's very unfortunate. So that does change the game. And it changed the game. We're in seeding for the Seattle Seahawks, and it changed the game for their playoff status now. Now they have to
yeah,
go to Philadelphia and travel cross country. No team. Who wants to do that off of a call that should have been called? So it's now that my question to the NFL, Frizz, is this: What are we doing with this new rule?
yeah. What are they going to do about it? That's the big question,
What
and,
are you
and we
doing
don't
about it?
know. They need to do something. I know refs are human, but it's getting a little bit out of control. And then the thing it makes me so upset when I'm watching a game, whether it's whoever, and coaches now are challenging that was pass interference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Is that ma- is that it's
it
just
makes
kind of
sense. Yeah,
they're challenging why it was pass interference, or if there was no call, they want a call.
right.
So they have to clarify some things on that end, and I definitely agree with you there, man. And I think that They need to sit down and they need to really put something on paper and say, this is what it's going to be. This is how we're going to make the game better and how we're going to make it equal for each team. Because
is it clear for the refs? Do they know what pass interference really is?
I don't know. I mean, I know they're watching a lot of stuff, but I mean, it's getting pretty bad, man. And,
Frizz, that was blatant what happened.
yeah, that was. Yeah. And last year's game as well.
Right.
You know, I mean, we could probably break down every single game, and there's probably one or two in every game. There got to be.
Absolutely.
So whether they got to go to the sky cam or whatever they're doing, they need to do something. Come on, NFL.
Let's go.
Make this better for us, man. Make this better.
Please.
Hey, real quick, little news update. David Stern passed away today.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, R.I.P. He's 77 years old. Ex-NBA commissioner. Mm-hmm. That was kind of sudden. I don't know anything about his health or anything, but we just wanted to give a quick shout out to David Stern.
Yeah, shout out to David Stern and his family. I tell you what, he's a legend, and what he did for the NBA prior to what's going on now. He set the blueprint. David Stern was a hell of a commissioner. So shout out to David Stern.
Shout out to him, man. Let's move on to the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, who needs to come into this organization and coach these boys? Who needs what kind? Not necessarily who, but what kind of a coach? Because we all know that they had a disappointing season. They were supposed to, they were supposed to, go to the playoffs. You picked them to go to the Super Bowl. You're crazy, Gemz. Yeah. But what kind of leader needs to come into this locker room?
Well, leader of men. Number one, I think there was a lot of confusion in the locker room, and that starts from the head coach, and it spills down to the quarterback, and then the rest of the team. Listen, the Cleveland Browns receiving corps was the most talented in the NFL, hands down, with Landry and Odell Beckham. Okay, and they had so many advantages on the outside this year that they did not take advantage of that. And then I'm not trying to knock Freddie Kitchens or anything like that, or the offensive coordinator. But my question is, if you have a dominant duo like that, okay, what is it? Is it the coaching? Is it the quarterback? Because I got some red flags about Mayfield.
I agree.
I got some red flags about him. Like things is starting to show like, okay, maybe, these college coaches were right of why he was a walk-on, in the past. So it's like we got to start digging into his game. But going back to the question at hand with the head coach, there has to be a clear set expectation of what offensively, defensively, and special teams, what these players need to accomplish. And there's no expectation. There's no leadership in the locker room. Each week, it was full of disarray, right? It was like a soap opera there. So like a coach that can lead is a great catalyst, like the Mike Tomlins, like the Bill Belichick's, I can name them, the Andy Reeds. You don't hear stuff coming out of there. Not very often, and if it does come out, it's like a 1 or 2 day thing. Like this was like weekly with the Cleveland Browns. They just have so much talent. So you know what? I don't know who the right guy would be, but just in the description, you need someone that's a new voice that these guys are going to respect, that's going to follow.
Yeah, I agree. Right? I'm not even going to touch on it because you said exactly what I said I think should happen.
I had these guys going to the Super Bowl, Frizz. Like, come on.
God, 6-10, that's far from Super Bowl caliber team, and all the talent that they had. It had to be a locker room issue. It had to be a team. Just not even to talk about it, but who lets their team rip off somebody's helmet and smack somebody in the face with it and is okay with it and wears a T-shirt the following day saying Pittsburgh started it or whatever.
Who does that?
Be a little bit more professional, Cleveland Browns fans, and I said it and I say it again. It was going to be like that just because I didn't think that they would go 6-10. honestly. But it all does start from the top, man. And they fired their GM too.
Well
So
deserved. He deserved it. He
yeah, I
deserved
mean,
it.
who knows who they're going to get in there? But we'll talk about the coaching carousel like later on, I'm sure in the future here. But they definitely, I agree with you 100%, Gems. They need somebody that can take control and hold all those guys accountable for everything and get them going in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Gems, man, you know, I just want to talk about real quick how quick we have grown.
Yeah, we're growing.
Like we're moving good, man. We're moving around. We're getting fans out here. We're getting questions.
Listen, Frizz, this is a great show. We talk about sports. We're very professional, and people like it. We're giving information to the people that may not be receiving it at a certain time.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I think we're reaching that expectation. I know we got to get better on our end on some things, but we're trying and we are each show. So just shout out to the fans. Keep believing in us because we're going to be here. We love sports, and sports unifies people of all walks, man. So
yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next topic before we start breaking down these games for this weekend.
Okay.
What franchise do you want to see turn around next year in 2020? One team.
One team. Okay, because there's several, but I'll just say one. You know what? I never cheered for them, but the reputation back in the day was always a stellar. The owners of the team was great. The New York Giants. I'm just going to say it. The New York Giants always been a stellar team, stellar reputation with the owners. I mean, a couple years ago, several years ago, with Eli Manning, Mike Strahan, and the boys. I mean, they brought home a Super Bowl. They were always known for good defense back in the day. Coach Belichick, he has some, history with them, with Lawrence Taylor and those boys back in the day. So it's just mind-boggling and disheartening that the New York Football Giants in the major city in New York, and they are bad. The product on the field is that bad. I
think they got promise though. They got some promise.
I mean, they got the running back.
I think they got Daniel Jones I think he's gonna pan out.
I hope so. They need
they got Shepard. He's a wide receiver one.
They got Shepard. They need an offensive line though. They got to start plugging in on offensive line there.
Yeah, and I like that pick. You know who I want to go with?
No.
The LA Chargers.
Ooh, I like that too. They were, yeah, go ahead. I like that.
I want to go with the LA Chargers because, man, they were dominant there in the early 90s with, Natron Means and all them and, the Junior Seau's, and they had a really good defense.
LT.
Yeah, they had Tomlinson there and they could run the football and play defense. That's what the Chargers were built for, right? And they kind of strayed away from it. Rivers, he's a gunslinger, man. I really like the way that guy plays. Right. Is he done there? I think he's possibly done there. But just as far as their organization, and the question being, right now they're playing at a soccer stadium. That's not fair.
Nah.
You go to an LA Chargers game as an LA Chargers fan, and you sit there and you see 40,000 opposing other fans. I mean, how's that fair to those guys? I know they're building their stadium and they're going to share it, which is another thing that I kind of don't like. But back to the question, I'd like to see them kind of get back to where they were in the past, because they were a good football team.
Yeah.
And they still competed, in the past 5 years or so, but they're not to where they used to be, Mm-hmm. And I like their head coach. I think he's a heck of a head coach.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely like him. I think he's a great leader. I think he'll be there for a long time. Even, watching that Kansas City game, I mean, they were going, he knew, he knew that their record, and he's like, it's 4th and 2. We're going for it. Let's go.
Gotta go. Gotta do it. Gotta win.
Let's go. He went for it, I think, 3 times. I think he's the right coach in place. I think that they got to address the quarterback situation now, because I don't know if Rivers is going to go back or what he's going to do. They got to address some things. They got good running backs. They got good receivers. They got to address that defense, and then they can be back to where they are. So, man, I just want to see – I want to see the Chargers do a little better, in next year. And then obviously there's tons of other teams, right? That we could talk about all night. But that's the main one for me. It kind of just like I always liked them in a way, so I'm going.
I like that. Chargers. They were always exciting to watch. They always had great talent.
Yeah, big time. So let's dive in now. Oh, you know what? Let's talk about something real quick. Check this out. The champion for the picks of the stadium seats, NFL regular season picks, goes to Gemz. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
Gemz, you finished in first place with the picks. Since we're going to talk about these games right now, you don't win. You win absolutely nothing.
Okay, that's great.
We don't have a trophy.
$5 gift certificate.
No, we're not there
Subway,
yet.
Subway, anything?
No,
Nothing?
We're not there yet.
Okay.
Maybe next year.
Okay, it's all good.
But you did take the crown. Congratulations to you. Tay finished in second place. So shout out to Tay.
Yeah, shout out to Tay. Tay's done a great job this year.
Tay had some really good picks there, and then I thought she was going to get it, but you took the Niners. She finished one game behind. You guys would have tied if the Niners would have lost to Seattle.
Yeah.
So, and I finished in third place. God, man.
It's all good. Always next year. It's all good.
I finished in third. I was a couple games behind, but a lot of that was from picking the Pittsburgh Steelers, eight losses, because I took them every week.
Right. It's all good.
The Atlanta Falcons. Thank you, Atlanta. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
God dang. But yeah, man. So let's dive into the wild card weekend, man. Let's talk about the Bills and the Texans.
Yeah, so I think this game is going to be very exciting. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game at all due to Buffalo's stout defense. But one thing that Buffalo always lacked is putting points on the board. They grind it out.
Yep.
I like their quarterback. He's tough. He fits well in that organization with Buffalo. But I just don't think that they will be able to keep up with Deshaun Watson and the boys. I just don't think so. With that receiving core down there that he has, and they're in Houston, I think this is a great opportunity for the Houston Texans to show and prove to the naysayers out there and their fans, on Saturday at 4:35, that we're going to win this playoff game and we're going to push to get to the big game. I just think all around, now defensively, they don't have a better defense than Buffalo, but I do believe that the all around, when it comes to special teams and offensively, I think they got the nod over Buffalo. So I'm excited to see this game. This is the warm-up game to the big game at night at 8:15. So I just want to see Deshaun Watson do very well, and I think it's his time to really prosper, in the playoffs.
No doubt. I'm going totally opposite here. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills for one big reason. They sat Deshaun Watson, and I don't think they should have. I think they should have kept him in there to, I know he was listed as questionable with a back or a leg or whatever it was, but I think he still needed to be in there to get some consistency. I definitely hate when teams do sit people, but I do understand why they do it. But I don't think he's going to have that chemistry at the start. And like you said before, just now, that Buffalo's defense is pretty decent. It's a good
That's good
defense.
defense. Yeah.
They bring a lot of pressure, especially up the middle. But the good thing about Watson can scramble, he can run. But I think the DBs are going to be able to shut down Hopkins enough to win this ball game. And I definitely think that their defense can slow them down enough that I'm going with an upset here, obviously, but it's all going to depend on Allen. It's going to depend on if he can, lead his team to at least field goal drives, because you might only need about 12 points in this ball game.
Yeah, it's going to be low scoring.
So that's why I'm going with the Buffalo Bills here, and I'm very excited to see the matchup with the Buffalo Bills cornerbacks and then the Houston Texans wide receivers.
Yeah, well,
both their running games are kind of sketchy, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So they should be throwing it a lot. And my surprise guy is going to be Beasley. Okay, watch out for him. Okay, he likes to get open. So I got Buffalo, and you got Houston. So
one thing on this: Buffalo usually kick field goals and they'll score a touchdown here and there. They're known for that. Houston, they score touchdowns. So my thing is, who's going to kick more field goals or who's going to score more touchdowns?
Yeah.
Name of the game.
I hear you. Well, we'll see what happens. And then the nightcap, we already kind of talked about it just a little bit in the beginning with BC getting in on his question from Wisconsin. But the Titans and the Patriots, that spread is 5. New England is the favorite. I think that the Patriots do enough in this game, like we talked about earlier, to win this, because I think they're just going to kind of throw something to Tannehill that he hasn't seen, because Belichick is a mastermind, if you ask me, on defense.
Yeah.
I think he's going to do something to throw him off his game a little bit. I definitely think Henry is going to have a good game, but I think the Tennessee Titans are going to drop this game probably by 7, just because of Tom Brady, and I can't count that guy out.
On the Tennessee Titans, who is the best offensive player? Like, who opens things up?
Brown. A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown. By
far. But to make it easier on A.J. Brown, who do they give the ball to? Henry, right?
Yeah.
Henry's a total beast out there. Belichick is going to stack the box. He's going to put Gilmore on Brown, and then he might have a free safety, over top. He's going to eliminate the best guys and gamble and say, all right, beat us. And if you could beat us, then that's it. That's all. It's Bill Belichick. That's his history on his defense. He does have a lot of schemes and, trickery to his defenses when it comes to the playoffs. But trust and believe, you will not see the New England Patriots that you've seen against Miami against the Tennessee Titans at 8:15 on Saturday night. You won't see it.
No doubt. I hear you. Let's go on to Sunday, the NFC game, the early game. Minnesota at New Orleans. New Orleans gets a home game in the wild card at 13-3. I know who I'm going. I'm going with New Orleans here all the way. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think New Orleans is going to run away in the end, and I think Drew Brees is just going to go crazy. They're dangerous, and they're dangerous at home. I like New Orleans all the way here, buddy. I just think that it's all going to depend if Dalvin Cook can go or not.
Yeah. Hopefully Dalvin Cook could play, because I would like to see Minnesota with all their guys healthy going against New Orleans, because they're going to need them healthy. I agree with you. I think New Orleans is going to be too strong, especially they're playing at home. And again, Frizz, this is New Orleans' revenge tour. They should have been in the Super Bowl last year, and they are upset right now, and they're hungry and they're ready. So shout out to Kirk Cousins. I think this is going to be his going out game, because coming out game, because I think this Drew Brees slings it, Kirk Cousins slings it. He's coming at the end of his contract. He needs to prove it to the Minnesota Viking fans here that he could compete in the big game. So I'm very excited to see him play this weekend.
No doubt. So we both probably got the Saints going here. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely. The next game, the nightcap, well, the 4:40 game Eastern is the Eagles at home against the Seattle Seahawks. I'm taking Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. I don't think Carson Wentz, even though I talked about him earlier, thinking I'm interested to see how he plays. I don't think he can beat the Seattle team. Marshawn Lynch is back.
Beast mode.
I mean, they did a great job using him, utilizing him. I mean, the guy hasn't played in 14 months, and he's still running hard and giving the team a lot of energy. And I think that Russell Wilson definitely takes care of business here. 4,000 yards. He was my runner. He's the runner up in the MVP race. Everybody's right. I mean, we already know Lamar Jackson probably won it, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Russell Wilson's got to be number 2.
Definitely.
31 TDs, 5 picks, 4,000 in the air. I think he did more for his team than Lamar Jackson did for his team, though. So
he did, but Lamar Jackson's a rookie. That's the only reason why he's getting it, I think.
Yeah, and his numbers are just amazing.
Yeah, they're great. No, I mean, I'm a Lamar Jackson fan. I've said it.
I definitely like it. I think that, DK Metcalf is going to be too much for their corners. Lockett coming out of the backfield and at the slot. I mean, the guy's got some serious speed. I definitely like to see Seattle's going to pressure Wentz, and I think they get the win out there in Philly. Who do you got?
I got Seattle. I think Philly's going to fight hard, though, even though their offense is decimated with injury, and it's just it's not a good thing. You want to see a good game. You want to see a team with all of their talent healthy, right, when the playoffs comes. But the NFL, it's just a brutal game, so it just ends up like that. But Seattle, even though that it's a negative that they're traveling across the country, Seattle is a run-first team, and it opens up with Lockett and with not with Lockett, but with Beast Mode. Sorry about that. They're going to pound Beast Mode. They're really going to feed them. It's going to open up a lot of opportunity for Lockett and Metcalf. So I'm excited to see what Russell Wilson does starting in these playoffs, because the NFC there's a lot of good teams over there.
Absolutely. That's our playoff roundup here on Stadium Seats. Hit us up at Seats Stadium on our Twitter, Stadium Seats Podcast at gmail.com. You can email us questions. Gemz, let's talk about these bowl games a little bit today.
Yeah, let's talk about
Minnesota upset Auburn. That was an upset, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
In the Outback Bowl, they did a heck of a job this year. Alabama took care of business.
Yeah, they did.
They beat Michigan. That was. I
thought that was going to be a blowout early due to the first play of the game. That 85-yard bomb to Judy, right?
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, man, that guy's top of the line. He's got to be the first receiver picked in the draft. Got to.
He's gone. He's out of there.
And the best game of the day was the Rose Bowl, man. It was Oregon 28, Wisconsin 27. Justin Herbert tore it up. He ran for 3 TDs today. They definitely shut down Jonathan Taylor, man. One of the best backs in college football. He didn't even get to 100 today. Oregon did a great job.
Yeah, Wisconsin always struggled in the passing game for me. It was always Jonathan Taylor heavy offense, and when you stack the box, what are you going to do?
No doubt. I mean, so up next, we got the national championship. We got LSU versus, a team that I didn't think was going to be in there in Clemson. So that's lining up to be a really good game. But I still got LSU, man. I still got LSU, Gemz.
You got LSU. I want to pick LSU, but I'm gonna have to go with Clemson. I like the story, and I was one of the people that always said, "Well, Clemson don't play anybody. It's the ACC. they should never be in the top 5. They should never be in the playoffs. They don't play anybody. Well, they proved it when they beat Ohio State. You get them into the big game, and they always show up. I'm not going to say there's going to be a blowout or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But shout out to LSU. With Burrow, he's tough. He's going first. It's over. He's going first.
Oh,
but,
yeah, definitely.
I do believe that, Clemson, they got some talent on the offensive side. It's not going to be easy. So I'm going to go with Clemson on this one, just due to the story of what everybody's been saying.
I don't think it's a bad pick. They haven't lost a game in 2 years. I mean, come on. It's getting crazy. So let's see if they can do it. Brief NBA rundown real quick. Milwaukee still leading the East. And then the LA Lakers are still leading the West. Mm-hmm. So we'll dig into the NBA this week on our next show. So we'll be digging into that a lot more now that the NFL's kind of winding down. College football's pretty much over.
Basketball time.
I mean, we got the NBA, we got college hoops, a lot of exciting stuff going on in college hoops that we need to talk about because, the rankings keep changing in college basketball. Number Every 1, week. Gonzaga now,
Yep.
Duke's back up there to number 2. Kansas is 3. Oregon's 4. And Ohio State, surprisingly, is up to number 5. I know they lost this week and they went down a little bit, but, there's a lot of things. And then we got hockey. We got the NHL. We got the All-Star game coming up. Mm-hmm. They just had the Winter Classic today. Were you able to catch that?
No. Nope.
Dallas played the Predators in Dallas, and it's Cotton Bowl. Winter Classic's always awesome outdoor game, but a lot of big hits. Dallas prevailed. They took care of business. So the NHL is kind of getting down to the teams that are going to be in it now before the All-Star break and the teams that are going to be seeing their way out. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about there. Gemz, real quick before we do take off, the crazy thing about it is we have had a contest now on Twitter for 4 weeks in a row, and we still have no winner. Nobody can predict these scores. So we got to think of something to change it up because we want to give some people some free shirts.
Well, how about we just come up with the rules? All right, let's say you have to be within X amount.
Yeah, I mean, some of our guesses, some of our predictions, were a little off. And I'm like, man, no one's winning. What's going on? Maybe we got to do something different. Maybe how many points will LeBron score? 20 or more, 30 or more. We'll talk about that off air for sure. But we'll get some NBA contests going in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll get some other things, man. Anything else, man? Stadium Seats. You can hit us up at Seats Stadium on our Twitter. Stadium.
Can I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
Just want to reply. I listened to the show. Just want to reply to 2 things with Ron. Hey, man.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, I just wanted to address that. I don't sing, but I can sing, number 1. Number 2 is anytime you want to call into the show and debate something, I'm here. Okay.
Yeah, and we'll put you on, Ron.
Yeah, absolutely. And about the Michael Jordan documentary coming up in June, I'm very, very excited for that.
Yeah,
and I want to talk more about that on the next show because I wasn't on the show when that was brought up. So I know we're coming to the end, but make sure we put a mental note down that we need to talk more about that because I got some things I need to say about that.
Yeah, and you heard him, Ron. Get at us.
Yeah.
That's what. We're here. Stadium Seats, Frizz, Gemz. We out of here.
Yeah.
It's Stadium Seats, so what can I say? It's the end of the show with Gemz, Frizz, and Tay. So tune in the next week, we bringing the heat. And subscribe to the page, we hot in the street at Seat Stadium. The Twitter be that Tay. With the topics, she's bringing the facts. With the style so great and the swag so wrong. Stadium Seat Podcast at gmail.com. Love.